Hello everyone, this is Leon, and today I wanted to start a little bit of a conversation about some of the things that I wish I knew before starting the SSUM. So it's been a little over a week for me. I believe I'm on day 11 today, so yeah, after about a week, I guess, I've collected a lot of ideas about things that I really wish I had known before I started playing the game. I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of things to contribute to this conversation, so please feel free to open that conversation up in the comments, perhaps. So yeah, anyway, let's just get right into it. The first thing that I wish that I knew before starting it was that it's pronounced sum. So sum is actually a loan word in Korean from the English word something. And so the idea of the meaning behind this word is that it's kind of like you're more than friends, but you're not quite dating yet. So I put a link to a YouTube video where the creator describes this concept a lot better than I ever could, since I am only just recently studying Korean and I don't understand the culture in the same way that like a Korean person would. So yeah, I really wish I knew that it was pronounced that, because I thought it was just SSUM. But oops, no, that's not it at all. Anyway, the second thing that I wish that I knew was that the chats with Teo on certain days can actually last for like a couple hours. I think I'm thinking of like day 6 or something. But because of this, I would have set my schedule in a way that allowed me maximum time in between each of the chats. So I only have an hour between wake time and breakfast, and that doesn't quite give me enough time to complete the chats unless I wake up early. Like sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's the perfect amount of time, but I have encountered a couple times where I haven't been able to complete the chat. So, but it's true that you can text Teo about an hour, I think it is 1 hour early before the chat opens up. And often Teo will text me around 30 minutes before my scheduled wake up time, which is, as you can see here, it is 8 a.m. So sometimes I'll get a little reminder text from him as well. The schedule that you set in the beginning of the game is actually way more important than the game lets on. Teo types pretty slowly, and sometimes he'll take like 20-minute breaks or so in between responses, so just keep this in mind when playing. You probably already know this since it happens to be a relatively commonly shared point of contention with the game. But anyway, long story short, I think we all deserve one free schedule reset. But yeah, that's my own opinion. Anyway, the third thing I wish I knew was creatures other than the Moon Bunny are actually really useful for getting energy units and emotions. So like Moon Bunny is fine, but the 8-hour waiting time kind of makes it a little less, I mean, the good thing about Moon Bunny is you probably will get at least one of every color. So if you really need a specific kind of emotion, of course Moon Bunny is still very useful. But the other creatures are a lot more useful, seeing as how they can take, between 3 hours to produce or 5 hours to produce, which is just, you just get one or more productions throughout the day. I think it's definitely good to have a large array of different kinds of creatures if you're lucky, and I will be making a more in-depth guide to the creatures at some point in the future, so please look out for it. I also wish I knew that the color of the creature corresponded with the energy units or emotions that it pays you to stay in the shelter, because I think for the first 3 to 4 days, I actually didn't know that or notice or like understand or make that connection. So yeah, I do wish I knew that. The fourth thing I wish I knew was that the posting time actually matters quite a bit for planets other than the joke planet. So the joke planet, everybody kind of will be able to see your joke probably at one point or another, and they're forced to react to it. So like, but every other planet is not like that at all. So you really want to kind of try and post at a time that it seems like in your time zone, maybe if this is possible, that other people aren't really posting as much. And that way you can increase the chances of your post being seen. Again, if I had known this before, I probably would have maybe switched up my own daily schedule so that it could work a little bit more easily. Like maybe I would have not had such a early wake up time. But yeah, anyway. The fifth thing that I wish that I knew was that the trivial features are almost kind of better when they aren't rushed through. So that way your resources will come in more like a steady stream and less like a gushing flood, which could be helpful if you're someone who lacks impulse control like I do. The sixth thing I wish I knew was that grinding batteries once or twice a day is fine, but any more than that really isn't worth it. So please take it from me. I'm personally a battery grinding addict, and I've wasted a lot of batteries that I wish I had now. I've used the majority of the batteries. Like, I've consumed the majority of the batteries that I have received by now, and I'm not proud of it. And yeah, I still grind batteries every day, and it's not worth it. It's really just not worth it. The seventh thing I wish I knew was that this game is actually a like social MMO slash therapy simulator. So if I'd known that prior to starting the game, I would have come up with better strategies prior for dealing with some of the negative interactions that I come across on the boards. Try to be as kind as possible to everybody, because we're clearly a very large group of very sensitive and compassionate people, like as evidenced by the entirety of the bamboo forest and kind of every other board. So I hope we can be supportive of one another. Yeah, if I had known that I was going to be going through this much, like kind of like psychological stuff, again, maybe I would have changed my schedule so that I was more prepared to do that kind of thing, like as soon as I wake up. And then also, I probably would have tried to establish a better support network of people with whom I can talk to about the negative things that might happen here. The eighth thing that I wish that I knew was that Teo's a very, very slow burn. We may have expected something different coming into the game because of the other games that Cherits has made, but I think that this is important to note. I kind of wish that I already knew that it was going to take, that the game was going to last 200 days, but even though I knew that it was going to take 200 days, I didn't really infer that that meant that this kind of like relationship building was going to take a couple weeks to start ramping up, I guess, to put it that way. It's also important to note that like Teo is the sort of love interest who's going to take his time with us as well. I think Cherits, I want to say, has done a relatively good job of putting lots of little notes and reminders like inside of the game itself that tell us to try and focus on our daily lives and try and make Teo actually a small part of our days. I'm still spending like way too much time, in my opinion, logged in, but it's not even for Teo, it's for the positive interactions that I have on the boards, because there are positive interactions as well. I have more positive interactions than negative, by the way. I wasn't trying to insinuate that it's all bad. it's 90% good and it's 10% bad. I guess the ninth thing that I wish that I knew was that every day is going to be very different. Some days you'll get a lot of selfies sent to you. Some days Teo's going to take fewer breaks or shorter breaks. Some days he'll come across as sweeter. Some days your posts are going to get a lot of recognition. Some days your posts are going to get no recognition. Some days you're going to get tons of gifts from the incubators. Every day is different. Like, this game is all about the RNG, honestly. Which I think that that's fun, but I kind of do wish that I knew how random it was going to be, because I kind of expected it to be more of a routine sort of like most. I guess it was wrong for me to assume that it was going to be like most mobile games where it's, you know, you do your dailies, you know. But it's true, like, part of the fun of the game for me has been how, like, enjoyable all of that randomness can be. You know, like, whether I pull 4 moon monies that day, or a single deer, or if I send a lot of notes to other players in a certain day as well. I think it's been pretty fun, and it teaches me not to expect anything from the game. And I guess the last thing that I wish that I knew was like the kind of player base that was going to be involved with the game. I have a lot of trouble on some of the planets, I guess, like kind of connecting with other people, and like connecting with other people is such a big part of this game. So I guess that's probably why we get a lot of the same sort of content on many of the boards. Like every few days or whatever, like the meta will shift, right? Like at first it was like all Mystic Messenger stuff, of course, because like you need the interaction. And then it became like, oh my god, Teo's so slow, I hate him content, which was like depressing. And then recently we just went through the just give me gifts please meta, which probably is something that hopefully will kind of slow down a little bit once players reach like higher levels on the planets and see how kind of difficult it is to level up anyway. But anyway, yeah, I guess I just wish I knew more about the kinds of things that everyone was interested in or whatever. I mean, I know that's asking a lot of a game that probably has like millions of downloads or whatever, or like hundreds of thousands or whatever. But yeah, I guess I just wish I knew more about everyone who plays it, which is a tall ask. Like, I have so much trouble with the archive of sentences. It's very frustrating for me. It is like the prettiest planet, but it is so difficult to figure out what the right move is there. Anyway, I hope that this was a fun little conversation to start about all the things that I wish that I knew. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you wish that you knew as well before starting your playthrough. So I'd love to chat with everybody about it while we wait for Teo to fix his hair today. Next time, I think we're going to go over some intermediate tips and tricks that I've picked up in my second week of the SUM, or we'll check out what things are looking like around day 15. I also wanted to go over, there's a lot of talk about what day 14 is like, so I'm not sure if that is still standing, like, or if that was something that was really like exclusive to the beta, but I would love to have a little check-in around day 15 maybe. Also, I just wanted to note, please don't forget to check the descriptions of these videos for links to a spreadsheet that another player started and that I and another player are helping out with for the trivial features. If you want to track your progress. There's other helpful links as well, like the video that I mentioned earlier, as well as corrections. So usually I will pin a post, usually I will pin a comment to correct any misinformation that I've accidentally spread, such as mispronouncing the game in the first video or how many emotions it costs to do something. So thank you again, and I hope to see you in the infinite universe.